Mr. Karan Bedi. Karan, I welcome you. How has been your journey? We would like to know that.
I was at another OTT platform that I set up from relatively from scratch. This was Eros Now, part of the Eros International group, and actually that was one of the first forays into OTT for anybody in India. We actually started getting into the sector of providing educational content to various clients around the world.
Today, MX is one of the most famous OTT platforms in India.
Definitely, as a platform, we are huge. Yes. Worldwide, MX is 275, 280 million monthly active users. India alone is 175, 180 million. And the thesis with MX was that we would take the existing platform and add streaming as a feature to it, and convert the business from just simply an offline video utility player to a streaming business. And that thesis has actually played out beautifully.
It's very easy to get audience on the platform, and there are so many players in the market who are actually eyeing the same audience, right? So how do you acquire audience, as in the users on the platform, and how do you retain them?
So in the OTT business, there are basically two parts, right? If you think about it, rather three parts. There's content, audience, and monetization. If you really think about it at a very broad level. And in our case, the audience part, the audience pillar was the easiest part for us because we already had MX with massive distribution. Today, MX is a top 10 app on the Play Store. We closely listen to our customers' feedback to ensure that the product experience is good, and that's the only way you can get a customer to stay with you. In content, again, we've done a great job. Today, we have over 100,000 hours of content on MX. We've got catch-up TV, we've got live TV, we've got originals, we've got music videos, we've got short form, we've got movies, we've got a selection that is fairly unparalleled, actually, I would say, across most of the competition in India.
How do you see that trend coming up in the Indian market as to the content marketing side, and how proficient you guys are in that?
So we've had a lot of learning in the last 6-7 months. We had a lot of learning even pre-launch. We did a lot of research on our own platform. We did a lot of third-party research. And we use that research to start thinking about what kind of shows to make. We made shows. We have had a very good success rate with our originals. Thinkistan, for example, has done extremely well. It's a show about the ad industry. If you have great content and no audience, you're not going to go anywhere. If you have great audience and no content, you're not going to go anywhere. And if you don't have monetization, eventually over time, you're not going to go anywhere.
What is the differentiation you see on an audience or a user coming from tier 1 city and audience coming from tier 2 city, tier 2, tier 3, and what kind of marketing strategies you guys are actually placing to capture that market?
In tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 is massive. Penetration and reach in tier 1 is massive to begin with, but actually in tier 2, 3 onwards, our penetration is leaps and bounds above pretty much everybody else. Remember, India is a single TV household.
Absolutely, yes.
Which means that most households in India, actually I think we have 1.1 TVs, if I remember the stat correctly. So most households are single TV households. If you look at urban India, penetration of TVs is also higher. So actually, if you look at tier 2, tier 3 onwards, they have even less, that population and demographic has even less access to entertainment avenues and screens than tier 1. So for that audience, the phone, and by the way, there are already 450 million 4G enabled screens in India. If you look at time spent on media in India, time spent on media is actually all going up. So whatever was spent earlier on newspapers, television, radio, etc. remains. Maybe there's been some little bit downtrend in some of those markets, and whatever is happening on digital has been added on top of it.
Absolutely, yes.
Now what that tells us actually is that India is still far away from replacement of screen. Actually, right now it's just add-on, because till now the demand for entertainment has been less than the supply. And by supply, I don't mean number of TV shows or number of movies, but simply number of screens. So now number of screens is becoming pretty much ubiquitous. So the consumption is going to be very high.
What a category as OTT should do to survive in the market, or player like MX player or any other player, any of your competitors should do to survive in the market?
You have to adjust your business model. But I think for industry as a whole, I think getting the content supply lines in a manner that is robust and scalable is very important. And I think sorting out everyone to understand where monetization is going, whether it is advertising, subscription, transaction, micro payment. There are 15 different models one can think about on how to monetize.
Right.
But one must be pretty clear of what you want to do in that area.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, Karan.
Not at all.
It
Thank
was
you very much.
Pleasure meeting you.